King Richard just dropped last Friday, the movie about the father of Serena and Venus Williams, tennis superstars that we all know.
I liked the movie. I liked it a lot. It really got deep into the story. I wasn't really sure how they were going to go with this because not exactly our era. I thought it was kind of enlightening, right? They didn't throw him a softball either. They got to some pretty compelling character development, right? Like they didn't just show all of the great fatherly times. They showed an overbearing parent, a guy who, some people might view as like a narcissist or something like that. Like they got some real conversation driven dynamics in this movie, which I feel like is a plus for sure. I would have liked to have seen the length of the movie, since it's 2 hours and 24 minutes. I would have liked to maybe have gotten just a little bit more of the professional career, right? Maybe we actually see Serena in the movie eventually be better than her sister, which is ultimately what ended up happening. But all in all, man, I just thought it was a great story about, Black family, Black love, hard work, just good things. I can't really find too many things wrong with it.
I agree. Going into this movie, I was really excited because it was a chance at a Black story that some of us know about, but not everybody knows about. And it's a story about a Black father trying to do what he deems best for his family, and trying to raise successful Black daughters, which is dope. We need more stories that are not just, Black trauma.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about it going into that, and it didn't really disappoint at all. Everything about this movie that I went into excited about are the things that I love about this movie. I didn't know too much about Richard's part in what became Venus and Serena. So learning that history a little bit is always interesting. And like you said, man, I think it's nice to see, somebody, a Black father with, great ambitions for his kids, like LeVar Ball, like you said.
Yeah.
So definitely
it's funny. It's always funny how those parents are painted, as opposed to, even some of the parents, the what do they call it? The junior tennis tournaments parents, right? The parents at the tournaments were absolutely tearing their kids apart for losing to these Black girls. Why aren't we paying attention to that? It's an interesting dynamic where he's introducing his Black daughters into this very white world, right? Where they are really like doing damage to their children, right? They're holding them to a standard that's their own, that has absolutely nothing to do with the kids. But we will willingly and knowingly turn a blind eye to that society.
For sure. Like you said earlier as well, I do think it's a 2-hour movie. I'm surprised, I guess, that we didn't see more of Serena, or, like you said, more into the career. A little surprising. I think, maybe had you done away with maybe some of the earlier scenes, which didn't develop the story as much, you maybe could have fit some of that in there. But, still, the story that was told was still a good one. So I can't say that I'm disappointed in it all that much.
I thought it was interesting, and with Richard and the dynamic with his wife, there definitely seemed to be, some strain there about making decisions for the Williams sisters' careers. I didn't know that they had 5 sisters. I didn't know, or 4 sisters, each of them that would have, right? Because there's five girls altogether. I didn't know that it was that many Williams sisters. I knew there was another sister because I knew one of them got killed in Compton, but I didn't know how many. I guess there's actually more kids outside of that too. I'm glad they didn't put that in the movie.
There's more kids outside of. There was 5 girls in this one.
Mm-hmm. Now look at that. We can tell a story about Black people in Compton that doesn't center around gangs, drugs, or death. Imagine that. About a Black family in Compton. You know what I'm saying? It ain't a whole bunch of BS going on. We can tell stories about historically Black neighborhoods without all of the mess, which I know that they've seen, right? They talked about it. They acknowledged it. They acknowledged the reality of going and leaving your kids to the streets and what happens to them. They just didn't have to drown you in misery to get the point across.
I was just gonna say, I do agree that at times it was maybe it was just tough to see the vision, because you kind of look at him and you're like, either A, he's in over his head, or he might be a little crazy, because this shouldn't be happening. Just at certain points, you're just like, somebody maybe needs to check him. And I'm glad that his wife was there at times to kind of check him.
And honestly, if we being honest about it, it worked out, right? But it was a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, this man seemingly has never steered you wrong. Like, everything that he said would happen for you came to pass. On another hand, you playing a dangerous game. You playing a very dangerous game. There was a certain match in Venus's career where it was sort of a make or break moment, and she very easily, by what we ended up seeing in that match, could have done away with her prospects, like her very high-end endorsement deals and things like that, where people were knocking on her doors. It could have very easily went away due to the decision of her father. So he took a lot of risk. High risk, high reward. But it very easily could have ended with, Richard and his wife being bankrupt with two girls who were slightly above average playing tennis. It could have went the wrong way. So not to tell anybody to model their life over Richard Williams, but the one thing I will say that I've learned from this movie is to believe in your kids. Like 100%. Believe in your kids and anything that they have a passion in, 100%, because you never know. I don't think, even though he said it, and he probably believed deep down if they worked hard at it, she had a shot to do it. But can't nobody tell me that you looked at a 4 or 5 year old girl and knew that she was going to be the number one tennis player in the world, having two of them, let alone one. Yeah. So, there's a bit of faith involved with that as well. And just preparation, right? Like having fortunate breaks mean nothing if you're not able to take advantage of them. So being prepared for their moment, being ready for when they finally got that door open for them so that they could take advantage of it and walk through it.
I'm seeing a lot of just backlash, it seems like, towards both Richard and the movie itself. And some people are wondering, is King Richard or is Richard Williams sexist? Which
is he sexist? Break that one down for me. I don't even understand now. Oh, it's the movie itself sexist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't see a valid actual reason for people questioning this. I feel like the women in this movie never backed down, knew what they felt was right for them, their family, and they displayed an immense amount of strength, at least to me. Like, I loved the mom in this movie probably just as much as I loved Richard and the things that I liked about Richard.
Yeah, old girl from Lovecraft Country, she played Hippolyta. Great cast, awesome cast. It was somebody who it didn't necessarily need to be a big time star like some A-list celebrity, but just somebody who has the acting chops to have a dialogue with Will Smith, right? Like, I think a lot of times, at least in some of his later movies, he's sitting here having exposition with some of these younger actors who just aren't there yet. And so, like, it takes away from what it is they're trying to do in the movie. Like, this movie was called King Richard. It was about the Williams sisters. Will Smith played a protagonist in this movie, but he was not at the center. He was not the driving force of this movie. Everything that man did on that screen for 2.5 hours was for them kids. Everything. The plot was centered around the kids. So how we make a movie about two Black girls that come into millions halfway through their teens ends up being, sexist. I don't get that. I really don't.
Yeah, no, you got me on that one. Like I don't understand what the issues are when I feel like this movie did it. Like I said, a really good job at illustrating the strength of the women that were around Richard. Obviously showing the strength of Venus, who was a child who had to kind of grow up in the public light, who had to grow up at an early age essentially and be kind of in the forefront. And yet she's kind of obviously something that Richard had to learn, but she's kind of making her own decisions and things like that.
Will should at least get a nom off of this. He should at least get a nomination. Will he win? I just it's too tough to call, man. It is really too tough to call. I mean, I think he has had better swings in the past, if I'm being honest. I think 7 pounds was a better swing. I think Pursuit of Happiness was a better swing.
Yep.
I think this one is probably about on par with maybe I Am Legend, but the context in which just in terms of my personal rating is where that's coming from. But just in terms of what the setting of the movie is, right, and the subject matter gives it a whole nother light. So we'll see if this is good enough to wrap up Will's first Oscar. But I will definitely be paying attention. This is one I'll be rooting for.
Will does
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Okay.
8
Will
out of
does
10.
a ridiculously good job of portraying people. I mean, we've seen it in Ali, and we've seen it in a couple other movies. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's the mannerisms or if he just really takes it, as his craft.
He's a very dedicated method actor. Yeah, he's a very dedicated method actor, and he gets deep into these roles. So, another underrated guy that does that a lot is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a very, very dedicated actor.
Like what Jamie Foxx was to Ray is almost what Will Smith does sometimes.
Which was to Ali. Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So I would agree. I definitely think 8 out of 10 for me as well. Damn, why do I never remember what we've rated other movies? Because now I wonder what I did for. I think I said 8.5 for Harder They Fall.
Yeah, this wasn't quite as good as Harder They Fall, but then also it's kind of genre biased because that movie was exciting by trade as opposed to, this one just being a little bit more compelling with the storytelling.
I agree. I think we haven't seen much like what's in The Harder They Fall, a Black Western. But I would agree that this is at least still up there with The Harder They Fall. And again, I love to see a Black story that doesn't have to be centered around drugs.
I was just so amazed.
And Black trauma and all that.
It was like it's historically accurate, it's culturally accurate and relevant, but yet I just don't have to see murder, drug doing, what I'm saying? I don't have to see all of that, and it is an accurate story about Compton. I appreciated it. I did.
Hey! Where y'all going? Y'all going?
Tell us what you thought about King Richard in the comments. Give us your rating 1 through 10 and tell us if there's any other movies that you would like to have us review on the channel.
And to the left, you're going to see The Harder They Fall, the movie review that we did a couple weeks ago. And then down below, you're going to see a playlist, which includes a whole bunch of related videos that you probably want to check out. And make sure you subscribe.